What is good, everybody? Welcome to a divisional round edition of the Gold Diggers podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. She is Michelle Magdziuk, researcher and fantasy analyst for the NFL Network. What's up, Michelle?
Hey, you have no idea how excited I am to be on here with you talking about a real game. Like, we don't have to make up anything or talk about other players or other teams or because we don't care about what happens this week. We have a real game that matters and that the 49ers actually should win. And it matters so much. And I'm so excited for this.
Well, first of all, I know that multiple people are going to be excited because you started the show with hey, which apparently you haven't been doing in the last couple of weeks. And people were messaging me. They were very upset.
I did not know I haven't been starting it. That's my bad. You must not have set me up for it. Maybe you just kept talking and I never got to, give my intro.
So your immediate reaction is to blame me.
It's your fault. Yes, that's my immediate reaction.
Well, that sounds like a safe strategy. What's up to everybody? Shout out to all the YouTube channel members. I love you. Thanks for coming aboard. If you want to become a YouTube channel member, it's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, you get membership badges, you get priority, comment, response. I told everybody I have two settings when it comes to playoff games: horribly anxious or wildly overconfident. Those are my only two. I never go into a playoff game like, who knows? We'll see. I'm just one of the two. And I've been kind of swaying a little bit, but I think I'm in the wildly overconfident bucket right now. Should I be?
I think that's completely fair, right? I think I went into the episode last week, right? And I said the best, most wildest case scenario would be that the Cowboys lose to the Packers. Wouldn't that be crazy? I said, and that would be such an amazing situation. But now that the Packers actually did upset the Cowboys, it does put a little bit of nervousness in you. Like, oh, shoot. They beat up on this. It's not just they won, right? The score looks closer than it was. They demolished them. Like, the Packers went in to Dallas and demolished the Cowboys. But the Cowboys and the 49ers are not the same teams, especially their playoff history, right? Like, they don't flop in the playoffs every single year in a new way. And now I think because the Packers did do this last week, the 49ers are not going to overlook them, right? This was a game for the Cowboys. We're like, wild card game. We got to worry about the hard divisional game or hard conference championship we got. We're going to beat the Packers. And they kind of went into it underrating them. Now that the 49ers saw what happened, that should keep that from happening where they're not expecting them to come in and have a good offensive performance.
This is as excited as I think you have been before we've gone on the air that I can remember in some time. You are like loaded with good stuff that you want to share with us. We'll get to all of it in today's show. But first, I just want to give a shout out to our YouTube channel partners, Community Tree Service. We love Community Tree Service because they came on board with us and we're going to help you out, because if you need anything done to your yard, they can handle it. Tree trimming, land clearing, hazard tree removal, home fire hardening, debris removal. They do it all from the Central Coast up to the Bay Area, and estimates are free. So get in touch with them. Call them 831-763-2391. Email estimating@cts831.com. or visit their website, communitytree.com, and schedule your appointment now. If you mention you heard about them from us, get $200 off of your quote. If you root for the Packers, they're going to charge you $200 more. And Community Tree Service is licensed by the California State License Board, license number 1100816. I leave it up to you, Michelle. You get the run of the board. Anywhere you want to start today, I'm willing to go.
All right, well, let's start with the comments from Devontae Wyatt, right? Because you brought this up on yesterday's show with Levin, and you guys were talking about, do you have the exact comment from Wyatt up here? Yeah, go through that.
So here's Devontae Wyatt for anyone that didn't see it. He said, quote, when D linemen just get pressure into him, meaning Brock Purdy, he's always throwing off, or it's behind them, or it's overthrown or short. When you get pressure on him, it's a guarantee we'll get a turnover. And that was crazy to me because Brock Purdy led the NFL in passer rating under pressure this season.
So he didn't, but he was up there, at least according to Next Gen stats. I know Next Gen and PFF, they have different stats for whatever reason. But he was up there. He was top. He was fifth. So he's right there behind Dak, Russell Wilson, Lamar, and Joe Burrow. So he still had a great passer rating under pressure. But I will say, to give Wyatt, because I was listening to this thinking he was an idiot, right? Like, he's so good under pressure, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I will say Brock Purdy did throw 5 interceptions when under pressure this year. And when you're comparing him to the other guys with a high passer rating under pressure, like I just brought up, Dak had 1 interception, Russell Wilson 1, Lamar Jackson 1. Joe Burrow didn't play the full year, so it's not fair. He had 2. Baker Mayfield's right under Brock Purdy under pressure, 2 interceptions. Tua 3, CJ Stroud 2. And then you get down to Trevor Lawrence, he had 6. So that's the first guy you get to who had more interceptions than Brock Purdy under pressure with this high of a passer rating. And the higher passer rating comes from the really high yards per attempt, right? That's going to bring it up. High completion percentage. It's not to say he's bad under pressure, but he did have some interceptions. He had a good amount of interceptions under pressure. So I'll give Wyatt that. I will say, though, if you get the pressure with blitz, so that means sending 5+ pass rushers, Brock Purdy is going to absolutely destroy you. Like, you have to get it by sending only 3 or 4 and having a lot of coverage out there, because Brock Purdy was by far the best under pressure against the blitz. It's not even close. 120 passer rating when under pressure against the blitz this year. Absolutely insane numbers by him. And he only had 1 interception in that situation. It's when they didn't send the blitz, they got pressure with just 3 or 4 guys. And that's where Brock Purdy struggled. To give Packers credit, they did get pressure on 35.8% of dropbacks this year without blitzing, which is 6th in the NFL. So they're up there, but they only had 4 interceptions in those situations all year long, fewest in the NFL. So I don't know if I would be talking if I'm him. I think some things he said was correct. Some things, part of it's not correct. But either way, it's stupid for him to have this bulletin board material for the 49ers.
Well, that makes a little more sense because, like, clearly he said it for some reason, right? Like, he's not just making things up. The beat writer for the Packers, when they tweeted it out, Matt Scheinman, said Purdy led the NFL this season in passer rating when pressured. So, I don't know what numbers he was going off of. That's what I was going off of for what it's worth. And I like this comment from Antonio, YouTube channel member, who says Brock Purdy had turnovers under pressure, but he also made a ton of plays under pressure
100%.
too. It goes really good or really bad. Brock Purdy should never be under pressure in this game because it should be run the ball with Christian McCaffrey, play action with Brock Purdy. Like, I'd be totally comfortable if every pass Brock Purdy threw in this game was a play action, because I don't think the Packers are going to be able to stop the running attack from Christian McCaffrey at all.
That's a huge key part of this, right? Christian McCaffrey, we haven't seen him since week 17, the middle of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Shanahan says pretty much everyone's good to go besides Drake Greenlaw, which is a little concerning. And who was the other?
Dre's going to play.
Okay.
The only person who's out for the game is Cleveland Farrell. Everybody else is full go, which is insane. We have never seen a 49ers team this healthy at this point in the year under Kyle Shanahan. They're always banged up. That is not the case right now. I'm going to throw the injury report up on the screen because it's hilarious and it makes me smile. Look at it. Cleveland Farrell out. Questionable. Greenlaw, they've already said he's going to play. Everyone else full. That makes me warm and happy.
And that's what the bye week does for you, right? Because I wonder what this injury report would have looked like last week. Probably not this sunny and happy, but no, that's great news. I mean, we know Christian McCaffrey is going to play, right? It just comes down to, is he fully healthy? Would he re-aggravate it? Is that something that we have to worry about? Because this 100%, they should be leaning on Christian McCaffrey. Not to say Brock Purdy. I expect Brock Purdy to have 300 passing yards in this game. I just expect a lot of chunk plays coming off of a really great run game. Start with the run, get it going. Do not let the Packers have any hope. Like, this is what happened in the Dallas game, right? They get the ball first. They go down and score. The Cowboys are driving on their first drive, but just missed this much to CeeDee Lamb on a 3rd down. That could have changed the whole game, right? If he gets that first down, also, if the ball was placed correctly, CeeDee Lamb would have been off. Like, would have got another 40 yards probably on that play. That changes the whole aspect of the game, because instead of having to punt, right away and being like, oh my goodness, we're down, and they're punting and then they're driving again. Like, it changes everything. That's something that cannot happen with the 49ers. A, come out strong on defense. Don't let them score right away. And then B, if they do score right away, just calm down. Like, it's okay. Run the ball, get your groove on. Don't get too nervous and start just trying to get these big chunk plays right away. Make sure you get the running game going to then allow for these chunk plays later on.
I loved Kyle Shanahan yesterday. They asked him, Jordan Love, the Packers took the ball first. He's in such a rhythm and they got down and they scored right away. Would you consider taking the ball first if you win the coin toss? And Kyle just went, nope. And that was it. Like, he's not concerned about the Packers. He's not concerned about Jordan Love. I think Kyle thinks, like I think, if the 49ers execute their game plan and do what they usually do, they're going to smash them.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's talk about, I know we've gotten into this some bit here. Kyle Shanahan, when not leading, right? This is a team that needs to lead. Maybe not needs to, but is much better when they're leading. It's kind of like the Cowboys where they perform better with the lead. But so I do think it's funny for Shanahan to be so confident, because you go back to 2020, right? Since 2020, if the largest deficit in the game, 8 points, just 8 points. So one more point than 7 points, right? Because that starts to get you a little worried. Shanahan is 3-21 in those situations. When down by 8 points.
At any point in the game.
At any point in the game. Does not matter when. And just to compare, like, yeah, a lot of teams have bad records, but Andy Reid, 13-11 in those situations. But a lot different than 3-21, right? So I do think his teams are meant to be played with a lead. Just going through the guys that have a worse record than Kyle Shanahan, when just down by 8 points at any point in the game, you got Bill Belichick fired, Arthur Smith fired, Vic Fangio fired, Matt Eberflus still there, but probably should have been fired. Joe Judge fired, Matt Rule fired.
Okay, you're mentioning Bill Belichick, though. I mean, like, you're putting him on that list.
But like, since 2020, he has not been a good coach. I think you can agree with that.
Chris Waddell says the whole get pressure on quarterbacks super game plan is nothing new, of course. That's the game plan. It's the reason premier pass rushers are the second highest paid players in the league. Agreed. The Giants crushed Brady twice. Every quarterback's turnover rate, I'm sure, goes up with pressure. Yeah, that's the game. That's not a Purdy exclusive thing. Quarterbacks perform worse under pressure. That's a fair analysis, but it's also fair to look at what has this specific 49ers quarterback done in this specific situation. But yeah, I think we can agree. Getting pressure on Brock Purdy is a path to victory for the Packers. I'm not worried.
It's a path to victory for anybody.
Yes. I'm not worried. Like, okay, let's say Green Bay gets the ball first and goes down and score a touchdown. I'm not going to be sitting there all puckered up. Like, oh, if the Packers score a touchdown before the 49ers get the ball, that's not going to scare me. In fact, we've seen a lot of times with the 49ers where the other team does score early in the game and then they don't score again.
It just makes that first possession so much scarier, I'll say, because if you don't go down and score at least a field goal, then you're like, you really starting to tighten up on that. If, say, they have to punt, you really starting to tighten up on that second possession, right? Because if the Packers go down and score again, all of a sudden it's 14-0, and we know Shanahan's not going to come back from 14-0 because he just doesn't. So that's where it becomes nerve-wracking. It's not just that first touchdown. It's just how important it makes that first offensive drive for the 49ers.
Well, first of all, the 49ers have more points on their opening drive than anybody in NFL history this year.
I'm not saying they wouldn't score. They probably would. I'm just saying it makes it so much more. You have so much more pressure on yourself, and it's going to become that more nerve-wracking if they don't score on that first drive.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about if the Packers, even if they go up 10. Okay. I'm really not. I don't see, first of all, how the hell, unless the 49ers turn it over, I don't see how Green Bay stops them. Because if Green Bay says, we're going to come out and we're going to stop Christian McCaffrey, we are not going to let him beat us. That means they're going to come out in their base defense. And if they come out in their base defense, the 49ers are going to abuse those linebackers and make those linebackers have to cover Aiyuk or Debo or Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. And the Niners are just going to pass on them all day long. And if the Packers say, all right, well, Brock is passing on us, we're going to go to nickel, then the Niners are going to run him into the ground. So I have zero confidence in Joe Brady, to do anything to confuse the 49ers.
Yeah, no, I think the 49ers offense is going to ball out. I think they're going to be absolutely fantastic. And I think the 49ers defense will do good. I'm just trying to give ways where we can start to get nervous, right? Yeah, I don't want to go in too confident. I will say, though, the Packers, they're extremely young. And it's amazing what they did last week. They were the youngest roster to win a playoff game in the Super Bowl era, right? And I don't think that's going to continue. Like, I think at this point, going into a team that's so experienced. Like you couldn't have more opposites, right? Between the
Mhm.
youngest and these veterans for the 49ers, so incredibly experienced. It's a home game for the 49ers. There's literally no reason for this game not to be a 20 plus point blowout. Yes.
Sorry. You brought up something really quick. I talked with Paul McCaffrey, formerly of KMBR, yesterday, who brought up a great point. You know, the Packers were on the road last week, but they got up early on the Cowboys, like you said, and they completely took the crowd out of the game. It was super quiet at AT&T Stadium. That is not going to be the case this week. And like you said, they are a young team. They haven't really been in a playoff environment before. I think that's going to be a factor also.
So they were the fourth team in NFL history to win a playoff game without a Pro Bowl selection on their team. The Packers didn't get a Pro Bowler on their team this year. Maybe they have someone, as a replacement. We'll see if that happens. But the previous three teams were 0-3 in their next playoff game. So they won their first playoff game, but all three of them lost in the divisional round and by a lot of points, right? The last team to do it was the 2010 Seahawks. They won in the wild card round and then lost by 11 points at the Bears the next week. So again, they're too young. I don't think their roster even like comparing the two rosters, it's night and day. The 49ers roster is so much better. There is no reason for this game to be close. There is no reason to be nervous. I was just giving some reasons why maybe the 49ers do want to take the ball first because Kyle Shanahan is much better playing with a lead, and him not acknowledging that does scare me a little bit because we know how he's just a little what's the word I'm looking for here? Cocky,
Arrogant.
Yeah.
Smudge.
Yeah. Like maybe he should look at his numbers and be like, wow, I really am a bad coach when I'm down. I mean, you can just look and compare him to all the other coaches in similar situations. And when the team is down for whatever reason, Kyle Shanahan's offense is not as good.
Chris Waddell says, I watched the Grant show earlier. That was Wednesday. Rob, are you legit not worried at all? I don't agree with him often, but it did feel a little insecure about this game. No, I'm not. Like you just mentioned it. The Packers have 0 Pro Bowlers. The 49ers have 7 All Pros, not Pro Bowlers, All Pros. I'm stunned that the Packers are like, people are like, oh, this game is weird. Kurt Benkert with Kay Adams. Oh, this game is weird. I don't know. The Packers have nothing to lose. What do you mean the Packers have nothing to lose? If they lose, they're eliminated. Everybody's got something to lose. It's stunning to me. I think this is a giant mismatch. The 49ers have won 11 games this season by double digits. You know, people talk about what happens if they get down. They are never down. Like there's like 3 times this year where they've been down. I don't know. I think the Niners are going to smash them. We've got a couple comments here I wanted to get to. Modelo Time 1999 on Twitch says, do you think if Brock throws an early pick, Kyle will take the ball away and run it with Christian McCaffrey more, like he did with Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019 when he almost threw an interception against the Vikings, and in the Packers game the following week, he just never let Jimmy throw it at all.
I don't think you should take it away from him. I mean, I think that's how you maybe start to lose the game, right? Is if you go away from your normal game plan, let Brock Purdy sling it. Maybe he does throw an interception. The Packers never get interceptions, so that would be surprising on its own. But maybe they play him really well on a play. But I think Brock Purdy has the capability to come back from that. Like he's not the type of player I'm worried about getting in his own head and being like, oh my goodness, and play scared. Like I know that what game was it where it was just disastrous? The Ravens.
Baltimore.
The Packers defense is not the Ravens. Like it's not the same situation whatsoever. I'm not worried about that type of game happening from Brock Purdy this week.
I am not either. And I think people got really excited because they beat the Cowboys and, Jordan Love made some really cool jump throws and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, well, great. You're going to have to do that all the time, again and again and again. And that's a tough ask of any quarterback. I want to get to this really quick. Daniel Hohen says, by the way, stats Love the junior stats segment. I feel like he and my son would talk each other's ears off. I did a divisional pick segment with my son Thomas. It's up on the YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. He wanted to get his picks out there. He was very anxious to tell the world who he's picking in the divisional playoff games. So we did that if you are so inclined. King says, sup, y'all. Hey, did you know Chase Young hasn't had a bye week until now? Do you think he will step up now more than before? This is something I wanted to get to. I thought the Packers did an awesome job of basically erasing Micah Parsons from the game plan. I imagine they'll try and do something similar to that to Nick Bosa. So to me, that means Armstead, Javon Hargrave, and yes, Chase Young need to step up, because I think if you're the Packers, like, you might be able to take away one really good pass rusher, but it's really hard to take away four.
It was kind of wild how long Jordan Love had to pass. And a lot of it was him making really good movements in the pocket, having really good pocket awareness. So that's really what it came down to in that game. Like, there's time the Cowboys should have gotten off that field. Like, third down, there's so many times, but Jordan Love would just stand back there. And then how long can you cover a guy? And then a guy would be wide open over the middle of the field, and Jordan Love would throw a good ball. Like, he had a really impressive game. I don't want to take away anything from Jordan Love. Like, everything was extremely impressive, but that was a huge issue for the Cowboys. They couldn't get home. Like, they were getting pressure, but they couldn't just get to him. Like, they couldn't finish it. And that's something that we worried about with this 49ers team for the first half of the year. They got much better at that the second half. But yeah, Chase Young is going to have to step it up. It can't be just Nick Bosa, because they are going to put a lot of focus in on stopping Nick Bosa.
And shout out to Aaron Jones, who was awesome in pass protection last week for the Packers. He had a couple plays where Micah beats the offensive lineman and Aaron Jones just, boom, stops him dead in his tracks. It was, for a running back to do that, like, we're not talking about, some scrub pass rusher. We're talking about one of the best pass rushers in the league, and he was awesome. I got to give him his flowers for that, and I hope he has a terrible week in pass protection this week.
Aaron Jones, just overall, he's the guy the 49ers have to focus on stopping. If they can shut down the run, then I do think Jordan Love is not going to perform as well. Everything's going to get tougher for him. It's going to be in an insanely loud environment in a huge game. If they can't get the running game going, I think Jordan Love's going to make many mistakes. The thing is, Aaron Jones has been on absolute fire. We'll see if they keep leading on that. I feel like they should. I thought that's what they were going to do last week. They did, because Aaron Jones is the one guy on this offense who does have experience. I mean, he is the veteran here. Everyone else is so incredibly young. So I do think the Packers are going to lean heavily on Aaron Jones to begin the game. We'll see how long they can stick with that, depending on what the score is, because if the score, if the 49ers start to take a big lead, then they'll take Aaron Jones completely out of the game.
Aaron Jones is the old guy in the Packers locker room. He is 29, which is crazy. Chris Waddell says, my biggest fear is starting slow and getting in a hole, and then Kyle never coming back. Things get weird. Just hope we give them the Jags treatment, which of course was the game coming out of the 49ers bye week where they smashed the Jags. Yep. About Aaron Jones, he's not facing the Cowboys this week. He's not facing these 200-pound defenders at the second level. He's facing Fred Warner. He's facing Dre Greenlaw. The 49ers haven't given up a 100-yard rusher in a game since 2021, and it was actually Justin Fields for the Bears. 44 straight games. That, I think, is approaching a record. I don't think that Aaron Jones is going to be able to run the ball as successfully. And like you said, when he doesn't, if you go back and look at the games where Aaron Jones played and didn't rush for 100 yards, Jordan Love's numbers are wildly different than the Jordan Love we have seen recently. So
yeah, I mean, just like how Christian McCaffrey opens up this passing game for Brock Purdy, that's what Aaron Jones does for the Packers, and he makes everything easy. I mean, Matt LaFleur's offense isn't too different from the Kyle Shanahan system, right? Get that play action going off of the run game going, and it works great. And it's not a shocker that when the team was leading on A.J. Dillon, who couldn't get 2 yards to save his life on most plays, that they struggled, right? Most quarterbacks struggle if their running game isn't going. That's just a thing, but especially when your running game is that bad. Aaron Jones picks it up so much. I heard you and Levin talking about, like, well, how can the Packers say, some Packers beat reporters were saying that the 49ers run defense isn't very good, right? And you're saying, but they allow so few rushing yards per game. Like, how can that be?
Please
I'll say they're not bad. They're not a bad run defense whatsoever. But when you are looking at it, Opponents ran just 21.7 times per game against the 49ers this year, by far the fewest in the league, right?
Mhm.
So the Bears and the Lions, um, the Bears were second, and that was the only team even close to them. They had 22.8 carries per game against them, but the next one was the Lions at 24. So that's a massive jump from 21 to 24 carries per game. So teams just weren't running, probably because the 49ers always had a lead, right? And you can't run. But when you're comparing them against the other really great run defenses of the league this year, it was the Bears and the Lions who allowed right with them 86 yards per game.
Right.
So those two teams allowed 3.8 yards per carry and 3.7 yards per carry. The 49ers were at 4.1. Still not a bad number, but they're more middle of the pack. And I think the thing with the 49ers and any good defense, right? When you're so used to them being so dominant, anytime they allow a run of like 5 yards, you're like, what's happening? What's happening? Because you expect them to shut down every single play. I
Yes.
did this with the Steelers when they had a dominant run defense for so many years. I mean, they're dominant. Anytime a player got like 7 yards, I'd be like, oh my God, they're falling apart. Like,
Right.
there's going to be plays like that. You can't shut down every single play. And that's what happens when you're a really, really good defense. People expect that. So then when they see, oh, well, there is actually a play that got, they let this play up. It's like, yeah, every defense lets some plays up.
The thing that I keep going back to is the Cardinals ran for 234 yards against the 49ers and lost by 16 points. So even if Aaron Jones plays well, it's not out of the realm of possibility the 49ers beat them anyway. Oscar Torres, YouTube channel member, shout out to you, Oscar, says, Rob, I'm super confident as well, but there is rain in the forecast. Does that worry you? A little, because Brock has not been the same guy in the rain. But I think if that happens, Kyle's just going to pound the run even more. I think that's going to be his sort of get out of jail free card.
But why is there rain in the forecast? Why? Oh my goodness. I
Because
did
the
not know
universe
this. I did not.
conspiring.
I'm annoyed because I feel like every good game this year there's been rain in the forecast.
Mhm.
I'm not just talking about for the 49ers. I'm talking about any good game between two teams that you're excited for. There's rain. Can there not be rain? It's California. Isn't it supposed to like never rain there?
So and again, this changes all the time, but I did check it this morning, Friday morning, and it looked like no rain, like rain throughout the day, no rain to start the game, and then later in the game, rain. So if you're saying that the 49ers need to come back later in the game and then all of a sudden it's raining, that's not ideal, I guess. But I just think Kyle is going to go to Christian McCaffrey left, Christian McCaffrey right, Deebo Samuel jet sweep. I expect Deebo to get a lot of work on the ground this week. And I'm wildly overconfident.
I think it's fair. I really do. I mean, they're 9.5-point favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're just trying to find ways where what should we be nervous about? Because I hate going into games overconfident. I do. Like I'm trying to get myself set up where if something bad happens, I'm not falling apart and sad. But at the same time, if I had to put money down on this game, I'm taking 49ers minus 9.5. Like I think they cover this. I think they could win by 20 points. It's just you have that in your head about what they did last week. And it happens to teams, right? Better teams lose every single week in the NFL.
It ain't happening this week. Maybe it'll be the Texans, but it ain't happening this week. Robert Grooms, YouTube channel member, says, don't forget my favorite dance move, a little Kittle in the middle. I wouldn't be shy. I would love if Kyle busted out the double fake screen left, fake screen right, throw it over the middle to Kittle like he did against the Seahawks. I would sign for that. Do you want to get into some best bets right now?
Yeah, but now I'm nervous because of stupid rain. So a lot of mine have to do with the passing game.
I don't think it's going to be, like a downpour or anything like that. And again, it's changing all the time. So who the hell knows what it'll actually be by the time they kick this thing off at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday night. I've got some best bets. How many best bets do you have this week?
I have 4.
Ooh, an extra one for the divisional round. Feeling strong. I like it.
I feel good about 3. Not less.
Okay. What's the fastball?
Well, the fast one's Brock Purdy over 265.5 passing yards. Every time at home, I want to take this over, and he just always hits it, right? So at home, averaging 309 passing yards per game. They have him at 265. This is over 40 passing yards gap here. That say the rain does affect him a little bit. That gives you some leeway, but he has easily hit this number in all but 2 games at home this year. One was against the Ravens, best pass defense in the league. He had 255 yards, so just under it. But again, against the best pass defense in the league.
And he threw 4 picks.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other one was against the Cowboys where he got to rest because they were kicking his butt so much. And still 252. Like he didn't even play most of the fourth quarter. And still, so those are the only 2 games he didn't just absolutely destroy this number. The 3 at home games before the Ravens game, 365, 333, 368. And he needs 266.
Wow. That we talked about this. Maybe it was going into the Ravens game, but like when the gap between the number you have to hit and what they have done all year is 40, 50, 60 yards, how could you not feel comfortable about that? So I'm on board with this. I believe Brock Purdy's over-under for pass yards is higher than Jordan Love's.
As it should be.
Yeah. Well, everyone's so loving Jordan Love. He's so unbelievable. The Packers have 3 elite quarterbacks in a row. Jordan Love. We'll see. Real quick, Val Brooks says, don't you guys think they practice with a wet ball? Val, they don't. Kyle Shanahan has said they don't. He doesn't like to because he doesn't think it matters, which I think is crazy. And he doesn't like anything to disrupt his practice. So they don't practice with a wet ball. I think Brock said that he sometimes does some extra stuff just in case. And he said, I know Brock has said in the past, if it's really raining, he will put on a glove. But they do not practice with a wet football.
That's just Kyle Shanahan being stubborn.
Yeah, I agree. He also had a whole
everything was perfect, we would have won.
He has a whole thing. Yesterday, he went on this whole somebody asked him, like, why will you ever call a fake punt? And he was basically like, no, I will never call a fake punt because I don't want to have to trick the other team into winning the game. Is basically what he said, which I was like, that seems really weird to me. But I also wouldn't just announce that you're never going to run a fake punt. Although maybe it's a galaxy brain thing and he actually is going to run a fake punt this week. Who the hell knows? But okay. I like that best bet from you. I will take my fastball best bet is the over on Debo's rushing yards. He's at 16.5. Let me ask you this question, Michelle. How many carries do you think Deebo Samuel has had in the playoffs for the 49ers?
Oh, man. I'm guessing a lot with the way you answered it. So I'm going to go with 4 per game.
5 per game. He has 46 carries in 9 playoff games. That's ridiculous for a wide receiver. He averages almost 6 yards per carry. We've seen them use Deebo on the jet sweeps in the playoffs. I feel like Kyle does it even more. I think he's going to give Deebo at least 3 carries in this game, whether it's jet sweep, whether it's, just straight handoff. I think, and one of those plays can go for longer than 16.5 yards. Anytime Deebo gets the ball, especially on those jet sweep type plays, he has a threat to go 20, 30, 80 yards. I feel really confident Deebo's going to have more than 16.5 rushing yards in this one.
Yeah, and I think they should try to get him involved. Don't force it, but like you said, at 3 or 4 carries, he's going to get there. And I do think they should be utilizing him in that way, especially to start the game. Like, just keep the defense on their toes. Don't know what's happening. I think that would be huge for them. I'm going to go with a different wide receiver and his receiving yards to go with Brock Purdy. He has to pass to someone, right? And it's going to be Brandon Aiyuk. Over 69.5 receiving yards. He averages 105 receiving yards per game at home because Brock Purdy goes crazy at home. So does Brandon Aiyuk. So I'm going to throw out week 18, right? Because he's playing with Sam Darnold and he played very limited snaps with starters not really playing all that much. The 4 games prior at home, 109, 156, 126, 113. He needs 69.5. He needs 70 receiving yards. I think he gets this pretty easily.
He said, I don't know if you saw this. I like this from him. He said, hey, it feels like week 1. Remember in week 1, I got 2 touchdowns. Yeah, we're trying to recreate that. I wonder if he knows this week that like, hey, we got some plays in there for you. You're going to be getting the football, especially if he's matched up with a very banged up Jair Alexander. First of all, I think Aiyuk's good enough to get open against anybody, but also if Jair is playing, he's clearly not going to be 100%. So I give an advantage to Aiyuk.
Yeah, Jair played last week, right, against CeeDee Lamb, and I know CeeDee Lamb and Dak struggled to get a connection going, but it wasn't because of the coverage whatsoever. It was just they were off for whatever reason. Like CeeDee Lamb was open, and then they started to get going as the game went on. But it was never because wow, they're doing such a good job covering CeeDee Lamb. It was just there was the connection wasn't there for whatever reason, just slightly off. I'm not worried about this Packers coverage whatsoever. And Brandon Aiyuk, like this might be, well, no, it won't be his last game because they're going to win, obviously. But he only has limited games here to show he is a true wide receiver one. He needs to ball out.
No, he's under contract next year.
Well, he could still get a new contract. He's going to want one.
Right, but I'm saying like this isn't his last game as a 49er unless they trade him.
No, I'm saying this is one of his last games to prove that he's a wide receiver one and get paid like one.
Well, then, but they don't.
He's not going to play on the franchise tag next year or the 5th year.
Bosa played on the 5th year option.
Cool. Bosa grew up rich. Good for him. Like I'm sick of hearing that. Yeah, you grow up rich and you have rich family. You're not stressed. Good for you.
So to be clear, you're saying Brandon Aiyuk's going to hold out the entire year?
No, but he's going to get paid or get traded.
I don't think so. I think they're just going to say play on the 5th year option. We'll pay you after that. We made Bosa do it. You ain't better than Bosa.
Yeah, Bosa didn't care because he's rich.
Yeah, but there's nothing Aiyuk can do. He either plays or he holds out.
It's just gross. That's gross to me.
Well,
damn, he deserves it.
That's a different thing. But Aaron Rodriguez says, "Who's more stubborn, Kyle or Rob?" Just kidding. Love the podcast. I am stubborn. Kyle can be stubborn. I probably think I win that. Just throwing that out there. Chris Waddell says, personally, I think this is an Aiyuk decoy game. This will be a Debo Kittle with a taste of Jennings, wink, wink, Michelle, murdering their slow as F linebackers.
I think Brandon Aiyuk gets 120 yards in this game.
The thing is with Aiyuk is he may only need 5 catches, because he averages, 15, 16 yards per catch?
He averages 21 yards per catch at home this year. 21.
It's so ridiculous. And by the way,
literally 5. So he needs less than 4, or I guess it would be 4 catches to hit this.
The Packers are also the 4th worst team in terms of yards after contact. So they are not a good tackling team. And we know what do the 49ers do better than anybody is run after the catch with the ball in their hands. So shout out to the Green Bay Packers defense, which, by the way, should probably be pretty tired, right? As much as everybody says the Packers have been playing in meaningful games, for months, that also means they're really tired. And so that generally leads to worse tackling. We've seen it with the 49ers. When they get tired, their tackling goes in the toilet. So I've arrested fresh legs 49ers team against a beat up Packers defense that's not that good even when they're at full strength. Advantage 49ers for me. My next best bet, Michelle, it's a little ballsy, but I'm going with it anyway. Christian McCaffrey, 2 or more touchdowns in the game. It's plus money, which is why there's not many 49ers bets you can make in this game that are plus money. Trust me, I looked for some of them. I think especially when they get into the red zone, let's say, for example, opening drive, Niners go down the field. As soon as they get to the red zone, I think Kyle's going to be like, run to Christian McCaffrey because I want to minimize risk. And it's really important to me that we go up 7-0. I think Christian's going to get most opportunities right out of the gate. And then I think maybe later in the game, if they're trying to salt it away, they'll be giving it to Christian McCaffrey. I think 2+ touchdowns is a lock for him. It's plus 155, which I really like. Why are you shaking your head?
No, I like it. It's insane that it's only plus 155 for a player to have to get 2 touchdowns. Like that's how crazy Christian McCaffrey is.
If you want to get really risky, first 49ers touchdown scorer, McCaffrey's plus 175, which I almost kind of like that too.
I think I like that better.
And for anybody that doesn't know, that means bet $100, win $175, just so you know how it works. So I'm on board.
Or you could bet 10 and win $17.
No, I don't like doing that. I like the hundreds because it's easier for me to keep.
Well, don't have people betting $100 on bets. Come on now. We're responsible.
Okay. Look, only bet what you can afford to lose. Let's say that. But I will go Christian McCaffrey, 2 or more touchdowns at plus 155.
I like it. It's risky only for the fact that you just said they run with Debo quite a lot in the playoffs. and Debo can take away those goal line carries. That's the only thing risky about this. But if any player is going to have 2 touchdowns this weekend, among all players, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, right? So you can't hate on that. It's just wild that it's only plus 155. Like, I know that you still get plus odds and you get a lot of money back, but like normally to bet on someone to have 2 touchdowns, it's going to be like plus 300, plus like, it's going to be something crazy. So that's wild. My next one, George Kittle, over 22 and a half yards, longest reception. I haven't done a longest reception in a long time.
That's
just like,
I didn't look at those before the show. I forgot about that. That's my bad. So it's the longest catch over 22 and a half.
Yes, over 22 and a half. So he has, again, he only needs a 23 yarder, but he has 24 plus yard reception in 6 of 7 home games this season. Only home game he didn't was against the Cardinals in week 4, and he had 1 target in that game. So
Wow.
1 target, he didn't happen to hit it, but all the other 6 home games, he had a 24 plus yard reception. The Packers have allowed the second most receptions of 23 plus yards to tight ends since week 11, behind only the 49ers, by the way. They need to clean that up. What are they doing? Nobody knows. But also, when you're just looking at these explosive tight ends, we know Kittle's the best in the league, but tight ends to have a 24 plus yard reception. Kittle has 14 of those this year. The next closest is David Njoku with 10. And then the next closest after that is Kelsey, Hawkinson, and Laporte at 7. So he has double the amount of the 3rd highest tight ends this year with these long receptions. So I love this for Kittle. I don't know how often Kittle will get targets because they do seem to go away from him in the playoffs for whatever reason. So instead of going with his receiving yards or targets or receptions, I'm going with he's going to have a long reception in there somewhere in the game.
I'm stunned this wasn't your first one, that this wasn't like your fastball, because damn, like those numbers you just gave blew me away. Kittle has been getting just chunk plays all season long. It has been awesome to see. Even in the Ravens game, he still got one of those long receptions. I think he had like a 50-yarder on the first series. The fact that it only takes just one missed tackle and he's out the gate. I love it. I'm going to bet that as soon as we get off the air. That is absolutely where I am placing my money. Speaking of bets, Chris Waddell has chimed in. Wait. What is the results of y'all's bet? For anyone that doesn't know, Michelle and I always place a bet before the year about who can predict the better record for the 49ers. And this year we both tied at 12-5. And so what we decided to do to settle the bet was to bet on the wild card game since the Niners weren't playing anyway. And we did it with the spreads, and Michelle wiped the floor with me.
Yeah, I did. I was 5 for 6. And the only thing I was wrong about is I took Lions -3 and they won, but not by 3. So that was the only game I was wrong about. 5 for 6. I don't know. What was your record? It was not that.
Well, I was right about Tampa Bay winning. I took Tampa +3, so that was a win. I took the Rams +3. That was a win. And I think I got one more correct.
You got the Bills because we both picked the Bills to win by 9.5.
Yes, that was it. So yeah, any ones that I got right, you also except for the Rams got right. So you have won the bet. Congratulations. I now have to purchase a Sam Darnold jersey and wear. Do I have to buy it like right away?
I'll give you so you definitely don't wear Sam Darnold before the Super Bowl. That's just a jinx.
Yeah, right. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. But after the season's officially over, that whole week, you will be wearing a Sam Darnold jersey.
Okay. Do you care if it's home, road? Doesn't matter.
I want it to be red. I want it to really stick out.
Okay. I don't have a 49ers road jersey. I need to get one. But anyway, so congratulations to you, you jerk. You won the bet. It wasn't even really close to. She was gloating about it all weekend too. That was
after Saturday, I pretty much already had it in the bag.
Chris says, damn, I wanted to see the Jennings jersey, but a Darnold one is hilarious to me. It's not hilarious to me. I'll tell you that. Another best bet that I have, this one was really shocked. And tell me if you think I'm being a complete fool, because that has been known to happen. Each team to score 1 touchdown in each half is plus money at plus 115. I don't know that there is any game script that I can think of, unless the rain is so bad that it's like torrential rain. I think each team is going to score a touchdown in each half easily.
I don't know if it's easily, only for the fact I could definitely see the Packers not scoring a touchdown. I could see them having a couple field goals. I could see this game being a 21-6 going into half, where the Packers finish with 2 field goals. That I don't think it's that crazy to think the Packers don't score a touchdown in the first half if the 49ers defense shows up, right? We know the 49ers defense has been absolutely dominant for the majority of this year. And then they've had games where it's like, oh, what happened? Like, where did they go? What's happening here? So as long as they don't have one of those games, I actually won't be shocked if the Packers don't have a touchdown in the first half. I would be shocked if they didn't both have one in the second half. You know, you start to warm up, you start to, especially if there's a huge lead, the defense will play a little bit more relaxed. So there should be a touchdown for both teams in the second half, but that's what I'm seeing in the first.
I just figured even if it becomes on the Packers' first drive during the scripted plays where, you spent all week coming up with the perfect drive, I don't know. The fact that it's plus money too, again, like I said, there's not a ton of bets in this game that I feel comfortable making that are plus money.
There really is no reason for the Packers to score in the first drive. I know I think the more we talk, the more confident I'm getting. Think about the weapons they have. Like, I really like Jaden Reed. He's a good young rookie. He had 0 receptions last game, by the way, but he is a good young rookie, someone you have to keep an eye on. They do have the Tavian Wicks. He can get a long reception. Christian Watson, whatever. He stinks. I told you guys this before when you guys wanted him. He's exactly Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They just used an early pick on him. Whatever. And then like the 2 young tight ends, like there's really no reason for them to be able to move the ball here as long as you shut down Aaron Jones. Honestly, like this should be a 3 and out if they get the ball first.
I'm expecting a Niners romp. I'm expecting a crazy crowd at Levi's, which again is something the Packers have not had to deal with. And I've said that the Packers, they're like a cake in the oven that's not quite ready yet. Maybe next year or 2 years from now, if everybody on their team matures the way I know a lot of Packers fans think, then that could be something that we could revisit. But right now, and if you're the 49ers, there's no excuse. Get it done. You cannot lose to this team. Everything is shaping up for you if you're the 49ers. You've got the Cowboys out. You've got the Eagles out. You've got the Rams out. If you win this game against the Packers, you're either playing the Lions, who are good, but definitely beatable, and we know how the 49ers have done against Jared Goff in the past, or you're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who you whooped earlier this year, and that's what's standing in your way of the Super Bowl. So I do
want to chat about that Lions-Buccaneers game real quick, but I have one more bet I want to just discuss with you, because this is the one I'm a little questionable about, right? They have Aaron Jones on DraftKings at 67.5 rushing yards, and I do think that's a very, very fair line, probably too low, because they could even shut him down for the most part, but still 67.5 rushing yards. I mean, he's had 21, 20, 22, and 21 carries over the last 4 weeks. Again, like I said, I think they're going to lean on him early. Yeah. Maybe in the second half, they're not able to run with him as much if they're down by a lot. But I mean, that's averaging in the 3s for yards per carry. That still would be a great defensive performance by the 49ers. But again, we talk about the difference between what they've been doing in the line. I mean, his yards, 127, 120, 111, and 118. That's a 50-yard gap in pretty much all of those games. In all of those games, it's in pretty much all of them, 50-yard gap. I think I take the over there. I don't think he's going to have a 100-yard game, but I do think he's going to have at least 68 rushing yards.
But doesn't it matter that those games have come against the Cowboys, Bears, Vikings, and Panthers?
Bears are one of the best run defenses of the league this year. So are the Vikings. The Panthers stink, and the Cowboys have been very inconsistent with their run game. But I don't know, because again, it's only 67.5. I think if he doesn't hit 68, the 49ers are winning by 25 plus points. Like, I think this is a 38-9 game, like absolute blowout, and that's the only reason he doesn't hit it. If this game is within 10 points, he's going to hit this over.
I think what I would ask 2 questions if I was thinking about this. One, do you think Aaron Jones could break off an explosive run? Because I think even if he only gets one, like 15, 20-yard run, I would feel really confident about him hitting the over. And then 2 is what you mentioned, the game script. Do you think it's going to be close enough to where the Packers will want to continue running the ball? Because if it is, you're right. He'll probably, even if he only averages 3 yards a carry, he could easily get there. If you think the Niners are going to blow him out, then you shy away from it. I wouldn't touch this one personally. Did you? You would. It seems like you listed it.
Well, this was the one I was questionable about. I probably would want to stay away. Well, I don't know. I wish I knew the final score of the game. If I knew the final score of the game, I could tell you right now if he has more or less. Like I really could. But without knowing if the 49ers are going to just absolutely destroy them, it's too hard to tell.
Speaking of the final score, do you have a final score prediction?
I do. Let's go with 34-13. I think they're going to have 2 field goals in the first half, get a touchdown sometime in the second half, and the 49ers absolutely destroy them. So I guess that answers my Aaron Jones question. 34, what did I say, 13.
Shades by Chardal says Aaron Jones averages 3.8 yards per carry against the 49ers. Also, I see
that would get him there, though. That would get him there with 20 carries.
Jay Realist says, why is nobody mentioning Romeo Doubs? He's their best receiver. Yeah. He had a good game last week.
Yeah, he's good, and he scores a lot of touchdowns. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of receiving yards normally. I know he did last week. He was their main guy, and he kept, like I said, Jordan Love had so much time to throw, and Romeo Doubs was the guy that found space and got open, and he's really good. I definitely should have mentioned him. That was my bad.
Charvarius Ward, I'm looking at you, buddy. Lock it down. Let's go. He's been.
But that's the thing is, I don't even know what wide receiver you should lock down here.
I just read something. I can't remember who wrote the story. I think it was Michael Lee wrote a story about Steve Wilkes and how, the adversity he went through and blah, blah, blah. Apparently, every time Steve Wilkes walks by John Lynch, he pats his pockets because he's telling John Lynch, you're going to have to pay Charvarius Ward again soon because he's balling out. I think that is hilarious. And that is like the perfect thing to do to get your players to love you as a coach.
That's awesome. Yeah. Ward is second half of the year. He is balled out and he deserves that. Another big contract there with the 49ers. Do we want to, I want to know your thoughts on this Lions Buccaneers game. Do you have a preference who wins? Do you have a feeling who wins this game? Because it's very interesting to me for this matchup. I'm actually really excited for this game. I think it's going to be an insanely high scoring game. But with Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, both of these guys have the capability of falling flat on their face, right? Mm-hmm. Just becoming little pumpkins like Joe Flacco did against the Texans last week. But they also have the capability for putting up 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Like that is in the realm of possibilities. We have seen Baker Mayfield in some of the highest scoring games in the NFL over the last 5 years since he's been in the league. Like insane monster games he's been in. Normally he loses. Unfortunate for him. But with this game, I don't know. I don't know who wins this game. I'm going to go with the Lions. But if the Buccaneers were to make the NFC Championship, the 49ers would absolutely demolish them.
Yeah, I would choose to play the Bucs if I could, but only because I've seen the 49ers play the Buccaneers this year and they won 27-14. So I would feel confident in that. And I think that Detroit has Ben Johnson, an offensive coordinator who is incredibly creative, who understands how to put pressure on defenses with motions and shifts and things like that. The Buccaneers do not have an offense that scares me like that. I know they've got some good players, but I'll put the Bucs players up against the 49ers players any day of the week. The Lions scheme scares me more than anything else. Plus, the Lions are a better team than Tampa Bay. So, of course,
I know. That's why I kind of want the Lions to win, though, because Lions 49ers game would be so much more fun. I really don't want to have to go into another game where we just expect another 30-point blowout. I think they still would easily handle the Lions. They're the better team still. But at the same time, that would be a much more exciting game to talk about, like 2 really good teams this year in the NFC. And these were actually 2 teams that we were considering, right? We thought it would be either the Eagles or Cowboys, but the Lions were sitting right there as the next best team. I would really like to see Jared Goff make the NFC Championship. What's great about this game is I don't know. I feel bad for him that he got thrown away from the Rams.
He made a Super Bowl and couldn't do anything with it. If he made one pass, he would have won the damn thing.
It was against Bill Belichick's defense.
Now all of a sudden Bill Belichick's awesome.
His defense is still really good. His teams, on the other hand, his offenses are straight trash. But then also on the other side, you know how much I love Baker. If Baker were to make an NFC championship after getting thrown away from the Browns, with the Browns just getting their butts kicked by Houston, who, the whole storyline, it would just be fabulous. Any way this game goes, my heart's going to be warm.
I like Baker. I've always liked Baker Mayfield. He's making himself a ton of money, by the way, this year.
Hey, I held on. I was his only believer left.
There you go. Sign Me 29 on Twitch is in lockstep with me. I'd take a 30-point blowout the rest of the way. Amen. I want the easiest road. I'm rooting so hard for D'Amico Ryans and the Texans this week because I want the Texans in the Super Bowl, baby.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just rooting so hard for that because they're a way more fun team, and I'm a Steelers fan. I don't want to see the Ravens out there, but right. I do think the Ravens, I think they even cover their spread of 9.5. I think they kill the Texans. Unfortunately, I brought up to you last week, the Browns defense on the road was straight garbage. I don't know why everyone was like, oh, they're such a good defense. Yeah. At home, on the road, heading into that game, they're allowing 30 points per game. So I was not shocked that CJ Stroud and that offense did whatever they wanted against them. That's not going to happen against the Ravens at home. The Ravens are good at home or on the road, but at home, they're the number one scoring defense. They're dominant. CJ Stroud's a rookie. It's not going to happen.
I gave you love for that during the game, too, because you opened my eyes to that last Friday. I was like, oh, my God. And you were 1,000% right. Heineman on Twitch points this out. This just happened before we went live. He says, he or she says, RIP Sports Illustrated. It looks like everyone at Sports Illustrated got laid off, if I'm understanding the tweets right. The Arena Group gave notice that it intends to lay off all of Sports Illustrated staff, according to an email. All of Sports Illustrated staff. I was a subscriber of Sports Illustrated growing up. I had years of them in my room. Also, Grant Cohn, who does a show with me on Wednesdays, works for Sports Illustrated. So if Grant lost his job, that's horrible. And I'm sorry, Grant. And I'm sure you'll land on your feet because you still have your YouTube empire and everything. But obviously that's terrible. Sports Illustrated was like the go-to sports magazine when I was a kid. And to see that it now just might be gone is awful.
Yeah, this industry is brutal, man. It stinks for everyone who works there right now who's having a terrible day. But hopefully all of them end up like you, back on their feet, kicking booty, doing their own thing. And you don't have to deal with any bosses or any stupid corporation. You just have to deal with yourself, which might be kind of difficult for you too, but you're loving life right now.
You're 1,000% right. And I wouldn't have done any of this if you and your wife, Kate, hadn't encouraged me to do it. So I owe everything to you. But that is one of the nicest things, is that I don't have to ever worry about getting laid off because I'm not going to lay off myself. And I've been laid off twice since 2020. So I'm all done with that from now on.
Yeah, we've gone through the layoffs in this household too with my wife. It sucks, right? I'm sure in all industries right now, the industry or the working market is not a fun time right now.
No, it absolutely isn't. So our hearts go out to everybody at Sports Illustrated. There's going to, what that means? There's going to be a lot of good people that need jobs. So hopefully for people that are hiring, they can take advantage of that. Michelle, thank you so much for your best bets today. I always appreciate them. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Gold Standard Network YouTube channel, everybody. Please hit the little bell so you get notified when we go live. We're live every single weekday. And of course, after the game, Levin Black and I will be live in the Instant Reaction podcast on Saturday night. So again, that's why you need to click the bell, like and subscribe. I'm so excited. Thank God this game is tomorrow because I could not wait another day.
I am so excited it's on Saturday night because I don't have to work the Saturday game. So I get to just watch it as a fan and be so excited. I was so nervous they were going to be put on Sunday. Saturday, I get to just live this life of be drinking. So if I hop on the Instant Reaction show like I did after the last time they beat the Packers, you kicked me off in about 30 seconds because I was a little too drunk. But maybe that happens again.
I was a lot more nervous then than I will be this year. So we might have to let drunk Michelle have her day if things work out right for the 49ers.
That'll be fun. I'll definitely hop on if they win. I will not be on if they lose.
Fair enough. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow after the game.
Bye, y'all.